Let me start by saying this loud and clear. Your bank is not your friend. I know that stings a little, but hear me out. Banks are businesses, not charities, and they're in the business of making money. And how do they do it? By charging you interest, lots of it. If you're not careful, that small interest rate you signed up for can quietly drain thousands of dollars out of your pocket over the life of a loan. That's money you could be using to invest, save, or just enjoy life. Instead, it's going to the bank to pad their profits. But here's the good news. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept it. You have the power to push back, to ask questions, and to demand better. And trust me, the banks won't lower your rate out of the kindness of their hearts. You have to make them do it. You've got to negotiate. Now, some of you might be thinking, negotiate. I don't have the leverage to do that. Banks don't listen to people like me. Let me tell you something. That's exactly what they want you to believe.
They want you to feel powerless, like you don't have any options. But let me set the record straight. You have more power than you think. Banks rely on you to stay in business. They need your loans, your accounts, your money. And when you threaten to take your business elsewhere, you better believe they'll start listening. I've seen it happen time and time again. People call their banks, ask for a lower rate, and guess what? They get it.
Not every time, but more often than you'd think. Why? Because banks know it's cheaper to keep you as a customer than to lose you to a competitor.
So don't let fear or doubt hold you back. You got to walk into this with confidence, knowing you're in the driver's seat. Let me give you an example. I had a caller on my show once, a young woman drowning in debt. She had a car loan with a ridiculous 15's interest rate. 15%? That's highway robbery? I told her to call the bank and negotiate. She hesitated at first, said she didn't think it would work, but I pushed her. I said, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, big deal. But what if they say yes? She made the call, and guess what?
The bank dropped her rate to 9. Just like that. She saved thousands of dollars with one phone call. Think about that for a second. What could you do with an extra few $1,000s?
Pay off debt faster. Build your emergency fund. Take your family on a vacation. That money belongs to you, not the bank. And all it took was the courage to ask.
Now, here's the kicker. Most people never even try. They assume the rate they're given is set in stone, like it's written on a tablet that came down from Mount Sinai. Let me tell you something. It's not.
Interest rates are negotiable, period. Banks won't tell you that, of course, because they don't want you to know. But if you don't want you to know, but if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So stop leaving money on the table. Stop settling for whatever they offer. Start taking control of your financial future. The process is simpler than you think. It starts with a mindset shift, recognizing that you deserve better. And it ends with action.
One phone call, one conversation, one negotiation can change everything.
You have the right to protect your money. You have the right to demand a fair deal. And you have the right to walk away if you don't get it. This isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about taking charge of your financial destiny. The banks won't hand you freedom, folks. You've got to fight for it. So what are you waiting for? Pick up the phone. Make the call. Negotiate like your financial future depends on it, because it does. Before you even think about picking up that phone to negotiate your interest rate, let me tell you something. Preparation is everything. You wouldn't show up to a job interview without knowing what the company does, right? The same rule applies here. If you walk into a negotiation with no plan, no information, and no confidence, you might as well hand over your wallet and say, take whatever you want. That's why you've got to be ready, armed with the right tools, the right mindset, and a solid game plan. Trust me, folks, this is where the battle is won or lost. So let's talk about what you need to do before you even dial that number.
First things first, do your homework. You need to know what a good interest rate looks like. Go online and research the current market rates. Sites like Bankrate, Calm, or NerdWallet can give you an idea of what's reasonable for someone with your credit profile. This is crucial because when you walk into a negotiation, you want to sound informed. You don't want to guess, or worse, let the bank tell you what's fair. Knowledge is power, folks. When you can confidently say, I see that your competitor is offering a 5.5 rate, and I'd like to know if you can match or beat that, you immediately shift the balance of power in your favor. The bank knows you've done your research, and they'll take you more seriously.
Next up, know your credit score. Listen, your credit score is like your financial report card. It tells the bank how risky or not you are as a borrower. If your score is strong, say 700 or above, you're in a fantastic position to negotiate. Banks love low risk customers because they know you're likely to pay back the loan without any issues. But if your score is lower, don't panic.
It just means you'll need to work a little harder. Maybe show some extra documentation like proof of steady income or a history of making payments on time. Either way, knowing your credit score is non-negotiable.
Ignorance isn't bliss here. It's expensive. Speaking of documentation, let's talk about getting your paperwork in order. Think of this as your ammunition in the negotiation. Gather everything. Recent pay stubs, tax returns, your current loan statements, and even written offers from competing banks if you have them. Why? Because the more evidence you have to back up your case, the harder it is for the bank to say no. It's one thing to tell them you're a reliable borrower. It's another to show them.
And if you really want to make an impression, prepare a written summary of why you deserve a lower rate. Sounds formal, right? That's the point. It shows you're serious, and it forces them to take you seriously. Now let's talk about mindset. This is just as important as the numbers and paperwork, maybe even more so. You've got to walk into this negotiation knowing your worth. This is not a favor you're asking for. This is not a favor you're asking for. This is a business transaction. The bank needs you just as much as you need them. They want to keep your loan because guess what? You're their customer, and losing you means losing money. Remember, banks aren't charities, they're businesses, and businesses respond to leverage. Your job is to create that leverage by showing them you've done your homework, you've got options, and you're ready to take your business elsewhere if they don't play ball.
Finally, timing is everything. Don't try to negotiate when you're behind on payments or in the middle of financial chaos. That's like trying to sell a rusty old car at full price. It's not going to happen. The best time to negotiate is when you're in a strong financial position. Maybe your credit score just went up or you got a raise at work. Use that momentum to your advantage. And use that momentum to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're thinking about refinancing or consolidating debt, that's another prime opportunity to negotiate.
Banks are more willing to work with you when they see you're serious about managing your money responsibly.
So let's recap. Do your research, know your credit score, gather your documentation, and get your mindset right. This is the foundation of a successful negotiation. Without it, you're just another customer hoping for a break. But with it, you're a force to be reckoned with. A confident, informed, and prepared individual who knows how to protect their money. And let me tell you something, folks. When you're prepared, you're dangerous. That's the kind of energy you need to bring to the table. So gear up, get ready, and take control. This is your money we're talking about. Fight for it.
All right, now that you've done your homework and armed yourself with the knowledge, it's time to make the call. But hold up. Don't just pick up the phone and start talking to the first person who answers.
That's like trying to get a refund at Walmart by complaining to the guy stocking shelves in the electronics aisle. He can't help you, and all you're doing is wasting time.
When it comes to negotiating your interest rate, you've got to talk to the right person at the right time if you want to get results. And trust me, this isn't just about saying the right words. It's about strategy.
So let me break it down for you. First, let's talk about who you're reaching out to. When you call your bank or financial institution, the first person you talk to is probably going to be a customer service rep.
Yeah.
Nice folks, sure. But they don't have the authority to lower your interest rate. Their job is to follow a script, answer basic questions, and transfer you to someone who can actually make decisions. So right out of the gate, you need to ask for the right department. Say something like, I'd like to speak to someone in your loan retention or customer loyalty department. That's where the decision makers hang out. These are the folks whose job is to keep you as a customer. And they usually have the power to adjust rates to stop you from taking your business elsewhere.
Now, once you get to the right department, it's time to get strategic. The first rule of negotiating is this: be calm, be polite, but be firm. Nobody likes dealing with a rude customer who's yelling and making demands. Trust me, you'll get much further by being respectful and professional. Start the conversation by explaining your situation in a clear and confident way.
For example, you might say, I've been a loyal customer with this bank for 5 years, but I've noticed that my current interest rate is higher than what I'm seeing offered by other lenders. I'd like to discuss options to lower my rate.
Notice what you're doing here. You're setting the tone as a reasonable, informed customer who's simply looking for a fair deal. You're not begging and you're not being confrontational. You're positioning yourself as someone they want to work with.
Now, let's talk about timing. This is a big one, folks, because timing can make or break your negotiation. The best time to call is during regular business hours, preferably earlier in the day when people are fresh and not dealing with a backlog of angry customers. But timing isn't just about the clock. It's also about your personal financial situation. Are you current on all your payments? Have you been with this bank for a while? Do you have a solid credit score? These are the things that give you leverage in the conversation. If you've been late on payments or if you're deep in financial trouble, you're going to have a much harder time getting them to budge. That's just reality. So if you're not in a strong position right now, focus on fixing that first before trying to negotiate. Now, here's a pro tip for you. Be prepared to walk away. This is where most people get nervous, but it's absolutely essential. If the bank refuses to lower your rate, you've got to be willing to say, thank you for your time, but I'll be exploring other options and mean it. That's not a threat. It's a statement of fact. Remember, banks need your business. If you've done your research and you know there's a better rate out there, you owe it to yourself to explore it.
And here's the kicker. The moment you show that you're serious about leaving, most banks will suddenly find a way to make a deal. Why? Because keeping you as a customer is almost always cheaper for them than losing you to a competitor.
They're playing the long game and they know it. But even if they don't budge, don't let that discourage you. Negotiation is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. The more you do it, the better you'll get, and better you'll get. And don't forget, Jew, because one bank says no doesn't mean they all will. If your current lender won't work with you, start shopping around. There are plenty of banks and credit unions out there that would love to earn your business. Use that to your advantage. So let's recap. Get to the right person, approach the conversation with confidence and respect, and always, always be ready to walk away. If you don't get the deal you deserve, this isn't just about getting a lower interest rate. It's about standing up for yourself and taking control of your finances. And let me tell you something, folks. When you start taking control of your money, you start taking control of your life. That's the real power of negotiation. So go make that call and show them who's boss. You've got this.
All right? You've reached the right person, and now it's game time.
This is where the rubber meets the road, folks. Negotiation isn't just about what you say. It's about how you say it. It's about how you say it. You need to come into this conversation like a pro, calm, confident, and absolutely relentless.
And let me tell you something, this isn't just about getting a better interest rate.
This is about sending a message. I'm serious about my money, and I'm not afraid to fight for it. So let's break down how you can own this conversation and come out on top. First, let's talk about tone. The way you carry yourself in a negotiation is half the battle. If you come across as timid, unsure, or desperate, you're giving the bank all the power. But if you approach the conversation with confidence, like, you know what you're talking about, they'll respect you. Confidence is key here, but let's be clear. Confidence isn't arrogance. You're not here to yell or make demands. You're here to have a professional, respectful conversation. Think of it like this. You're a business owner and the bank is your vendor. You wouldn't scream at a vendor. You wouldn't scream at a vendor to get what you want. You'd negotiate. That's the mindset you need. Be calm, be polite, but let them know you mean business. Now, when you're negotiating, always start by laying out your case clearly and logically. Begin with the facts. Say something like, I've been a customer with this bank for X years and I've always paid on time. However, I've noticed that my current interest rate is higher than what's being offered by other lenders. I'd like to discuss the possibility of lowering my rate to something more competitive.
See what you're doing there. You're being factual and professional. You're not whining and you're not demanding. You're presenting your case like an informed customer who knows their worth.
That's how you get their attention. Here's a big one. Ask questions. This is where most people mess up. They think negotiations are all about talking, but the truth is the best negotiators ask smart questions and then listen. For example, you might ask, are there any promotions or programs available that could help reduce my rate? Or what options do you have for loyal customers like me who are looking for a better deal? These kinds of questions show that you're not just there to complain. You're actively looking for solutions. And when you ask good questions, it puts the pressure on them to come up with answers.
Remember, a negotiation isn't a monologue.
It's dialogue. Make them work for your business. Now, let's talk about leverage. Folks, leverage is everything in a negotiation. Without it, you're just another customer asking for a favor. But with leverage, you're a force to be reckoned with. So what's your leverage? It could be your excellent payment history, your strong credit score, or the fact that you've already gotten better offers from other lenders.
And don't be afraid to bring that up.
Say something like, I've received an offer from another bank for a 5.5 rate, and I'd like to see if you can match or beat that. You see what you're doing? You're letting them know you have options, and that's powerful. Banks hate losing customers to competitors, especially over something as fixable as an interest rate. Use that to your advantage. Here's another tip. Always be prepared to walk away. I can't stress this enough, folks. If you're not willing to walk, you're not negotiating. You're begging. And let me tell you something. Banks can smell desperation a mile away. But when you show them you're serious about leaving, it changes the dynamic completely. They start seeing you as a customer they can't afford to lose. And if they still won't budge, don't panic. You've already done your homework, so, there are other options out there. Sometimes walking away is the best thing you can do for your finances. Now, let me share a quick story to drive this home. A caller on my show once told me about negotiating her car loan interest rate. She was nervous, but she followed the plan, stayed calm, asked good questions, and used her excellent credit score as leverage. When the bank initially refused to lower her rate, she stood her ground and said, "Thank you for your time, but I'll be refinancing with another lender." Boom! Just like that. The tone of the conversation changed.
Suddenly, they were willing to talk.
They ended up cutting her rate by 3, saving her thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. That's the power of confidence and leverage. Folks, when you show the bank you're not afraid to walk, they'll start running to keep you. So here's the bottom line. Negotiating your interest rate isn't rocket science, but it does take courage and preparation. Stay calm, stay confident, and don't back down. You're not just a customer. You're the CEO of your finances. And when you step into that mindset, there's nothing you can't achieve. So go out there, have that conversation, and take control of your money. You've got this.
Let me tell you something, folks. Negotiation isn't just a nice to have skill. It's a life changer. I've seen it happen over and over again. Real people, just like you, picking up the phone, having a conversation, and saving themselves thousands of dollars.
And we're not talking about people with perfect credit or stacks of cash in the bank. We're talking about everyday Americans who decided enough was enough. They got tired of being nickeled and dimed by high interest rates and decided to fight back. And let me tell you, when you take that step, when you stand up for yourself and your money, amazing things can happen. Let me share a story with you. Couple called into my show a while back. They were drowning in car loans, personal loans, and credit card debt. Their car loan alone was sitting at a painful 16 interest. 16%. That's daylight robbery, folks. They had been making their payments faithfully every month, but they felt like they weren't making any progress. Can you relate to that? They were frustrated, overwhelmed, and ready to throw in the towel. But I told them, you don't have to live like this. You have the power to change your situation. Call the lender and negotiate. At first, they were skeptical. They said, Dave, we're not financial experts. We don't even know what to say. But I walked them through the steps, and they made the call. You know what happened? The lender agreed to drop their rate to 8. Boom! Just like that, their monthly payment shrank, and they started to see a way out. That one phone call saved them thousands of dollars and gave them the momentum they needed to tackle the rest of their debt.
But it's not just about the money. It's about what that money represents. Every dollar you save is a dollar you can use to build a better future for yourself and your family. It's a dollar you can put toward paying off debt, saving for emergencies, or investing in your dreams.
Think about what an extra $100 or $200 a month could do for you. That's groceries, gas, maybe even a date night with your spouse. Since that actually make a difference in your life.
And here's the best part. You don't have to be a financial wizard to make this happen. All it takes is the courage to ask. One phone call, one conversation. One phone call, one conversation. One negotiation can be the start of something big.
And let me tell you another thing. Lenders expect you to negotiate. That's the dirty little secret they don't want you to know. They set these high interest rates because they assume most people won't bother to push back. And you know what? Most people don't. Most people just accept whatever rate they're given and figure there's nothing they can do about it. But you're not most people, are you? You're listening and you're ready to take control.
That already puts you ahead of the pack. So when you make that call, remember this, you're not being difficult and you're not asking for a handout. You're simply doing what smart, financially responsible people do.
You're protecting your money, plain and simple. Now, let's talk about what happens if they say no, because sometimes they will. Sometimes they won't budge, no matter how well prepared you are or how politely you ask. And you know what? That's okay. Because no isn't the end of the road. It's just the beginning. If your current lender won't work with you, it's time to start shopping around. Credit unions, online lenders, and even other banks are all competing for your business. Use that to your advantage. Get a quote from another lender and then go back to your original bank and say, here's the offer I've got. Can you match it? You'd be amazed how quickly they change their tune when they realize you're serious about leaving. And if you do end up switching lenders, don't feel bad about it. This isn't personal. It's business. Your loyalty should be to your family and your financial goals, not to a bank that's charging you more than they need to. Remember, banks are businesses. They're not your friends. They're not your mentors. And they're definitely not looking out for your best interests. That's your job. So don't let guilt or fear hold you back. Do what's best for you and your money. Let me wrap this up by saying this. Negotiation isn't just about saving money. It's about taking control. It's about realizing that you have options and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It's about shifting the balance of power back into your hands where it belongs. And when you do that, when you take that stand, it's not just your finances that change. It's your mindset. You start to see yourself as someone who's in control, someone who's capable of making things happen. And that, my friends, is priceless. So go make that call. Fight for your money. Fight for your future. And remember, you've got what it takes to win. Here's the truth, folks. Taking control of your finances isn't just about the numbers. It's about freedom. It's about saying, I'm done being a victim to high interest rates, hidden fees, and financial stress. It's about making the decision to stand up for yourself and your family, to fight for every dollar, and to take charge of the life you want to live. Negotiating your interest rates is just one piece of the puzzle, but it's a powerful one. Because when you learn to advocate for yourself, when you realize you have the power to say, no, this isn't good enough, everything changes. Suddenly, you're not just a customer. You're a force to be reckoned with. And trust me, that confidence spills over into every area of your financial life.
Think about it. How many times have you felt stuck?
Like no matter how hard you try, you're just spinning your wheels, trying to get ahead but never making progress.
High interest rates are a big part of that problem.
They keep you in the cycle of debt, draining your resources month after month, year after year. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can break the cycle. You can negotiate, refinance, and restructure until you're the one in control, not the bank, not the lender, and certainly not the credit card companies. But it starts with a decision. A decision to stop settling. A decision to fight back. A decision to say, I deserve better and I'm willing to work for it.
Now, I know this isn't easy. It's uncomfortable to pick up the phone and have these conversations. It's intimidating to challenge the status quo, especially if you've never done it before.
But let me tell you something. The hardest part is starting. Once you make that first call, once you hear yourself saying the words, I'd like to discuss lowering my interest rate, you'll feel something shift. You'll realize this isn't as scary as you thought. And when you start to see the results, when you hear the words, we can reduce your rate, or let me see what we can do for you, you'll feel empowered. You'll realize you're capable of more than you ever imagined. But here's the thing. This isn't just about you. This is about your family, your legacy, and the example you're setting for the people around you. When you take control of your finances, you're teaching your kids, your spouse, and even your friends what it means to be intentional with money. You're showing them that it's possible to live with purpose, to make smart decisions, and to prioritize what truly matters. And that's a gift that goes far beyond dollars and cents. That's a legacy of financial wisdom and independence that can change the trajectory of your family for generations to come. Let me leave you with this. You have more power than you think. The banks and lenders want you to believe you're just a number, just a number, just a number, just another account in their system. But you're not. You're a customer with options, a person with goals, and a fighter with a plan. Don't let fear hold you back. Don't let the thought of rejection stop you. Every no you hear brings you one step closer to the yes that will make all the difference. And even if the answer is no today, don't give up. Keep working on your credit, keep building your financial foundation, and keep fighting for the life you deserve. Because you know what? It's worth it. You're worth it. This is your moment. This is the day you stop letting high interest rates and financial stress control your life. This is the day you take your power back. So make the call, ask the questions.
Demand better, and don't stop until you get it. Your financial future starts right now, and it's brighter than you can imagine. You've got this, and I'm rooting for you every step of the way.
Let's go win together.